The bank teller's smile vanished the moment she slid my father's old card into the machine. Her fingers froze. Her eyes lifted sharp, afraid. "Ma'am," she whispered, already pressing a button under the counter. "Please don't move." That was when I knew my life had crossed into a story I never expected to live. Just 3 nights earlier, I had been standing barefoot on the front lawn. My suitcase tipped over, my clothes spilling out like secrets. My husband, Marcus Hill, stood in the doorway of the house I helped pay for, his jaw clenched. His phone already in his hand as if he might call the police on me for existing too loudly. I share new life stories here every day. I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Now let's jump back into my story. I'm sure you love it. If you keep listening till the end, write in the comments and tell me which part of the world you're watching this story from. I'm really interested to see how far this story has traveled. "I told you not to question me, Naya," he said. "You're embarrassing me." Embarrassing him. Those words echoed louder than the slam of the door that followed. I had asked him why our savings account was empty, why his business trips were suddenly weekly, why the mortgage notices were coming in red envelopes. Marcus didn't answer. He never did. Instead, he told me to leave. And because the house was in his name, something I had trusted him with years ago, had no legal ground to stand on that night. So I left, with nothing but a suitcase and a heart that felt bruised all the way through. I spent that first night in my car, parked behind a closed grocery store. The next morning, hunger forced me to search through my bag for anything useful. That's when I found the old, slightly cracked bank card tucked into my wallet behind expired coupons and faded photos. My father's card. Charles Washington. A proud black man who wore his suits pressed and his silence heavy. He passed away 2 years ago, leaving behind memories, unanswered questions, and that card one he told me to keep just in case life ever turns funny. I never asked what he meant. I walked into the downtown branch of Dominion Federal, my hands shaking as I approached the counter. I didn't expect miracles. I just hoped there might be a few $100s left. Enough for a motel room. Enough to breathe. That's when the teller panicked. Within seconds, 2 men in dark suits appeared. Not security guards, bank officials. One of them glanced at my ID, then at the card, then back at me as if I were a ghost who had learned how to speak. "Ms. Washington," the taller one said carefully, "how did you come into possession of this account?" "My father gave it to me," I replied, my voice steady even though my chest felt tight. "Is there a problem?" He didn't answer. Instead, he asked me to step into a private office. The door closed behind us with a soft click that sounded far too final. "Your father," the man said, folding his hands on the desk, "was not just a customer of this bank." I frowned. "He worked at the shipyard for 30 years. "Yes," the man nodded. "And he also held controlling interests in several financial trusts. Accounts that were dormant. Dormant." That word buzzed in my ears. The second man slid a document across the desk. Numbers filled the page, more zeros than I had ever seen in my life. "This balance," he said quietly, "has not been touched in over a decade." My breath caught. "That's impossible." "Your father instructed us," he continued, "that the account could only be accessed under 2 conditions. In the event of your marriage ending under financial coercion, or if you were ever left without support." My knees weakened. Marcus kicking me out. The empty joint account. The sudden cruelty. It all fit together too perfectly. "There's more," the man added. "When the card was used today, it triggered an internal alert." "Why?" I asked. "Because your husband," he said slowly, "has been attempting to access funds connected to this trust without knowing it was protected." My stomach dropped. Marcus hadn't just lied to me. He had been hunting my father's legacy. And now the bank was watching. I sat in that office long after the men stopped talking, my mind racing through every argument Marcus and I had ever had about money. Every time he told me my father was old-fashioned. Every joke he made about how Charles Washington didn't leave much behind. All lies. "You're saying my husband knew about this?" I finally asked. The banker exchanged a glance with his colleague. "We believe he suspected something. He's been moving funds, opening shell accounts, and requesting information tied to your maiden name." I felt sick. While I was budgeting groceries and skipping doctor visits, Marcus had been planning a quiet financial takeover. "He won't be able to touch this money, will he?" I asked. "No," the banker said firmly. "Your father was very specific. The trust is now fully yours." Yours? The word felt foreign, heavy, powerful. By the time I left the bank, Kaya had a cashier's check large enough to change my life and a warning to keep quiet. But silence had cost me too much already. I checked into a modest hotel that night, then called a lawyer the next morning. A Black woman named Attorney Renee Brooks, whose voice was calm and unshakable. By the end of the week, everything unraveled. Marcus called me nonstop pangry, then apologetic, then threatening. He accused me of theft, of betrayal, of ruining his future. But when the court records surfaced, the truth stood taller than his lies. Marcus had taken out loans in my name, drained accounts, tried to trace my father's financial history without legal access. His business, built on money that wasn't his. The judge didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. The divorce settlement was swift. Marcus lost the house. His business accounts were frozen pending investigation. And for the first time since I married him, I saw fear replace arrogance in his eyes. 3 months later, I stood in my father's old neighborhood, unlocking the door to the brownstone he secretly kept in his name. Inside, a letter waited on the kitchen table. "Nia, if you're reading this, it means life tested you the way it tested me. I didn't hide this money because I didn't trust you. I hid it because I knew one day you'd need to know your worth without anyone standing beside you. Never let anyone make you small to feel tall." "Dad," I cried then. Not from pain, but from release. I went back to school, started a nonprofit helping women escape financial abuse. And every time I swipe a card now, I remember the moment the bank panicked, not because I was weak, but because they finally realized who I really was. Thanks for watching till end. Please like and subscribe my channel. I will be very thankful to you. Sometimes life takes turns we never expect. Every person in this story carried their own pain, their own choices, and their own consequences. Maybe you saw yourself in one of them more. Maybe it reminded you of someone you once knew. What do you think happened next? What would you have done if you were in their place? If you have any questions about what happened to the other characters, or if you want me to share more about them, just comment below. I read every message you leave, and your thoughts truly mean a lot to me. And if this story touched your heart, inspired you, or even made you think differently, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me keep sharing stories that move people, open minds, and remind us we're all human. At the end of the day, your support keeps these stories alive. Thank you for watching, for feeling, and for being part of this journey. More powerful stories are coming soon. Stay tuned and stay kind.